Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Khanna, Mr. Rajan, Mr. Dua, Dr. Raju, Dr. Ashraf, my colleagues, Dr. Anil Kumar, Dr. Geeta Nath. It's a great occasion, and I, on behalf of the medical faculty, really appreciate that the next big step in technology is being taken on very sound scientific grounds, keeping medical safety and keeping the safety of the population under wraps. Before I go further, let me tell you, the first time I faced this question was in 92-93. I was in Amsterdam on a fellowship on epilepsy surgery. By that time, the technology was about 10 years old in Europe. Now, we had a particularly attractive secretary over there. She used to smoke, she used to have alcohol, a bit of drugs were allowed in Amsterdam, free of any licensing or prescriptions, and she had many friends too. And then she also was given a mobile phone by somebody, and finally she got pregnant. And the whole department, for 9 months, well, I was on my epilepsy surgery program, was wondering what is going to be the outcome of alcohol, smoking, too many friends, drugs, and now that she's got this mobile phone. That's the time we were supposed to answer it. And then 9 months later, it was a normal delivery, twins, non-identical. So the department called them, nicknamed them as GSM and CDMA. So that's how, and both of them, I believe, the last I had a communication on the email, are doing well. So till at that time, we refused that, well, at whatever we had at hand, that the radio frequency waves of mobile phones do not harm human beings, and this particular secretary was actually exposed to so many risk factors. She did well. When we look at this radiation from mobile phones, I suppose our concerns are the base station, from where millions of signals per second would be released. We look at towers which would be transmitting millions of such signals over a period of to so many other customers. And finally, the individual users who actually have the proximity of the handset next to their ears, next to the temples. Now, a lot of studies have been done, but the one which is most comprehensive, because a study which is statistical for diseases which have a natural occurrence has to have a good size, has to be well powered, is the interphone study. And in that, in various centers, they evaluated patients who had intracranial lesions, particularly meningiomas, which is a tumor that comes from the meninges which wraps the brain and comes from the brain tissue, which is a glioma. And they did not find any significant difference between those who were overexposed or between the sides. People were using cell phones on one side than the other side, so there was no difference between the two sides of occurrence of these lesions. So, same was the case for people who were living close, communities living close to base stations and towers, and any other illnesses, for example, blood disorders, miscarriages, migraines, headaches, whatever. No such thing was found. So I would say the jury is out. We do not have an evidence that it does cause a health hazard. That does not mean that there should be an overuse. But across all segments of populations, the children, infants, pregnant women, people on drugs, people on medication, people with terminal illnesses, no such evidence has actually come forth, and the need to use this technology is rather compelling. I was a little intrigued about the bee thing that Mr. Rajan had talked about. I wish when there's a fight between the CDMA and GSM, someone comes about and says that our technology is a mosquito repellent technology also. I'm giving you a marketing ploy. If you can have a set that along with the signal the mosquito runs away, I suppose that will reduce the level of disease in this country. You can actually add to the health standards of this country. So in the end, I appreciate this effort. I further appreciate the fact that it will be an ongoing effort. With time, it will expand. With time, we'll have more data. We are a different country. We must accept that ethnicity does play a role in diseases. There are certain population groups that are more susceptible to a particular disease and some are not. So let's not be swept aside. let's keep our minds open. Let us have it on a scientific basis. And as they said, that the ministry has already put guidelines as to how many times it should be tested. Now, of course, the TV towers really don't, I mean, the towers which transmit don't have any problem with the population, except, of course, if they topple over. But Mr. Anurag is sitting over here. Umang Das is sitting over here. The towers have to be strong. The only effect they can ever have is that if the tower topples over the population. That should never happen. So, but the final message would be that we've started on a scientific note. The technology will expand, the radiation will increase. Inside your home as well, you will have Wi-Fi, and probably with one remote you'll be putting on your television, your refrigerator, your air conditioner, and maybe the security alarm system of your house. So this is going to happen. So we must have more and more of these standards, because India is now going to be, supposedly a major power in the world. So far, the effects of radiation to the country, the toxicity has been more in deciding who should get what, rather than the radiation itself. The decision about the 2G is more toxic actually than the actual effects on the population about the transmission of 2G. With this, of course, I would invite my other friends, or Mr. Khanna would like to invite other speakers. Thank you very much.